It's now time for Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. Across the web, on Fight Now TV, and on radio stations around the world. It's the only daily boxing talk radio show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of boxing talk radio. Talkin' Boxing with Billy C is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
We're coming to you live from the Billy C Studios in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero, and it's time for Talking Boxing with Billy C. Good morning, good day, good evening. Whenever you listen, hope you're doing all right. Give a shout out to my friends over at LDL TV. They're replaying the show right now on LDL TV. So glad you could join us. We got a busy show scheduled for today. And we also are kicking off the BillyCShow Boxing Hall of Fame weekend later on tonight. And if you still haven't gotten tickets, or if you've been waiting for the very last minute, make your plans for tomorrow. There's some half-day deals going on, and we got some confirmations on people. The bottom line is, until they're on the plane, until they're in the car, the boxers, man. I mean, everybody's always saying, "Oh, the poor boxer, the poor boxer." The big, mean old promoter and the managers and all of this. And the truth of the matter is some of the boxers are prima donnas themselves. I got calls. I'm not going to mention names, but I got calls from everyone almost. There was only two that I didn't, but everyone with a problem. I might not decide. I might not come. Yesterday. This is as late as yesterday. I might not come. I might have to work. I might have to rearrange my sock drawer. Just like half of you guys, letting us down. But bottom line, confirmations. Ernie Shavers. Ernie Shavers is a man that definitely keeps his word. He went out of his way, and some weird things happened with Ernie Shavers. We almost weren't going to have Ernie join us because some slight little things between him and Leon Spinks. They forgot to mention that they moved. But we were able to secure Ernie Shavers. Ernie Shavers will be here. He's coming in a little later tonight than everyone else, but he is going to be here. We also Marlon Starling confirmed he's going to be here. John Iceman Scully, he's going to be here. All of the post inductees, all the special guests for them are all going to be here. The only guy that we know for sure that is not going to be here for the BillyCShow Boxing Hall of Fame inaugural Hall of Fame induction weekend is Leon Spinks, and I apologize for that. That was kind of a you know what? I guess I have to take some blame. They did mention to me that they were thinking about moving, and how silly of me to have purchased tickets for them and then find out that they moved. So last minute curve there, and we weren't able to get that one done. So Leon Spinks will be there in memory, but not in person, but he will be there next year. So that's the only negative. That's the only negative as of now. Let's hope all the flights are on time and everything else. So we got some great weather coming up, and we're really excited about this. I'm going to be heading over to the venue today and into the hotels that everybody's going to be going to and making sure everything's in place. And we're expecting a great time. The weather is going to be kind to us tomorrow, and that's the day we really need it. Now, tomorrow, what's going to happen because of the weather, now it's going to be typical fall weather in upstate New York. Not exactly, you're going to be able to wear shorts or anything, but the sun will be out, and which is going to give us an opportunity to open up the outdoor area of this family establishment, the venue that we're having it at, which is going to be really cool because it's going to give us some extra room, and it's going to add a little it's going to add a little Adirondack Mountain flavor, because when the nighttime comes, the powers that be told me that they're going to be, they have an area for like a bonfire and stuff like that, and it's going to be cool, man. They got the canopies up, they got an outdoor bar that I'm not sure how that's going to work, if that'll be manned or if you just got to go in to get the stuff, but we're excited about that. We are anticipating some local flavor coming in, but for the most part, the crowd is all diehard boxing fans like yourself. So if you were thinking about coming and some things opened up and you got the time, come on up. There's deals at the door. There's half-day prices depending upon when you come. The only thing is that if you do plan on coming up for the last minute, plan on coming up and attending after 3 p.m. because that's when the half-day stuff kicks in. So up until that point, it would be a full price. So you need to plan on coming. Now, if you decide to come and you decide to stay at the last minute, all you got to do is get a hold of me. We do have a last-minute hotel deal, and it would be at a hotel that none of us are staying at because they're all full. But there is another one that's pretty close to the venue. I believe it might even be across the street. Little hometown Bates Motel. But if that's all you're looking for, to crash and have some fun, especially if you're going to have some alcohol or whatever, no, we don't want anybody getting in a car and driving any long distance. So definitely make your changes. Come on up. You're going to have a good time. That's for sure. But anyway, coming up later on the show, we got... don't forget the show is being brought to you in part by Kemp & Aaron Tomkovich, a law firm. If you need any lawyer needs, if you bought some property, real estate, matrimonial, criminal, and if you're someplace in New York, you got to give Kemp & Aaron Tomkovich a call. Make sure you tell them Billy C sent you to get the discount. That's 845-221-4099, 845-221-4099. And, of course, Kat's Nationwide Luxury Transportation Service, she's going to be performing. I say she. I don't even know who the driver is, but Kat, who's my girl, she's going to be doing the limousine services for the event. And if you need a limo someplace in the United States, you got to give Kat a call, 202-351-7496, 202-351-7496. And, of course, special thanks goes out to the Halftime Bar and Grill, who's been really great with this. They're working very hard to have us return every year in the little town that it is. But I got news for you. The way this Billy C Boxing Hall of Fame has evolved, and some of the Johnny-come-latelys, some of the response I've received from businesses and stuff for next year. It's kind of funny how they call and they say, "Oh man, we want to be part of it next year." It looks like it's going to be like 5 times the size next year. And it's actually going to, I tell you, the leading candidate right now is Albuquerque, New Mexico. So we'll have to wait and see what transpires. But that's how it's going to go. It's going to grow year after year. And we're excited about it. And we hope that you come. All of the people that have made the reservations early and stuff, you're going to get some extra gifts from us. And we are giving away door prizes. There'll be raffles. There'll be all kinds of stuff, man. So it's going to be fun time for all. But anyway, just like I was saying yesterday about the New York State and licensing of Antonio, or not licensing of Antonio Margarito. I had mentioned this, last week. And I said, man, something's funny about this. I know the New York State Athletic Commission. Believe me, I know them. I've battled with them many a times. And, sure enough, it comes out and hits the news the other day. We talked about it yesterday. Well, today is the hearing. So we should know by this evening what the deal is. Is Antonio Margarito going to be fighting in New York State at Madison Square Garden in 2 weeks? This is the other thing. This is 2 weeks from now, man. We're talking, less, really, 2 weeks from tomorrow, right? That's what it is. So if Bob Arum has to up and move and go to another, because at this point in time, he's already said that there is not going to be a substitute opponent, that the fight will be between Antonio Margarito and Miguel Cotto. End of story. Whether it's at Madison Square Garden or not, that's another story. Now, HBO is going to be their pay-per-view organization will be handling this fight. It is a pay-per-view. And I'm sure that they're going to have to know. I mean, they start sending their trucks. I would imagine that their trucks are being sent out at a dispatch center today. You know, usually it's 2 weeks, 10 days, man. They like to get there and get all their equipment set up and tested and everything else. So if there's going to be a venue change, and Bob Arum has stated that he's got not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 backup places that they can move right into. I hope that he's got his hand on his cell phone, because he's probably got his hand someplace else. But you know, as long as it's on the cell phone, the bottom line is, you know, he's going to have to be making a decision today, right after the 3-panel person. That's a tongue twister. 3-panel person is going to decide the fate of whether Antonio Margarito will be licensed in New York State or not. You know, here's the thing. Mathena Latham, who's the New York State Athletic Commissioner, she's one of the 3 people that are on the commission, on this special commission to vote on this public hearing today. Edwin Torres and Thomas Santino are the other 2. Now, Latham, she's pretty open-minded. You know, so I'm not sure, and I have no idea what the other 2 guys, what their thought process is, and where they would be voting. But here's the thing. You know, if the evidence shows any kind of risk involved for Antonio Margarito and his eyesight and, you know, his health, New York's going to squash it. I'll tell you right now. And if they squash it, you know, a lot of people don't realize what they could do, but they could now, because he's not licensed in New York, and because he hasn't fought there and the injury that he sustained did not take place there, they technically can't suspend him. Which is important, because if they could, that would prevent him possibly from fighting on any one of these other backup plan venues that Bob Arum seems to have. But what they could do is they could put a statement on his fight facts. Now, everybody goes to BoxRec for all the information, but when you are doing a fight, the promoters and everything, the official record keeping and all of that is by a company called Fight Facts. And if it's on there that, you know, his medical condition is suspect, he very well may have a problem getting licensed someplace else. And now, according to Bob Arum, he's already licensed at these other places, so obviously it wouldn't make a problem. One last thing I want to add about Malvina Latham. Her husband happens to have been and still is a doctor that has been involved in the sport of boxing for 150 years practically. So I'm sure at the dinner table there was some opinions being tossed around. So big vote today to decide whether Antonio Margarito will in fact be licensed in New York State, and the big showdown between Antonio Margarito and Miguel Cotto, which was scheduled for December 3rd at Madison Square Garden, may or may not take place in the Mecca of boxing.
If you're in upstate New York and you need a trucking company, then you need Rosselli Enterprises. Rosselli Enterprises is trucking at its finest. They have it all. Dump trucks, dump trailers, walk-in floors, flatbeds, flowboys, tankers, loaders, and a full line of roll-off containers for any job, big or small. Rosselli Enterprises is also the source for all your sand, gravel, and topsoil needs. Visit them on the web at RosselliTrucking.com or call 315-433-5115. That's 315-433-5115 and tell them Billy C sent you.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
We've got a great matchup tonight. Fighting out of the left corner is the #1 ranked contender.
No, he is not.
I'm sorry, but who are you?
I am the IBO computer. I am programmed to provide only fair and unbiased boxing rankings. This fighter is the number 15 ranked contender.
Fair and unbiased boxing rankings? That's a new concept.
Actually, it is not. The IBO has provided unbiased computerized rankings for many years.
Well, we've still got a great fight tonight, folks. In the left corner is the number 15 ranked contender.
The IBO, the champion of integrity. Learn more at iboboxing.com.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you. I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
As a young boy, all Billy C. dreamed about was one day having his own catchphrase.
And we're back. And we're back.
One boy, one dream, one day, everyone will say.
And we're back. 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 And we're back.
Catchphrase coming soon to a theater near you.
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C radio show. You're watching it on LDL TV. Glad you could join us. Don't forget, this show's being brought to you in part by my friends over at the Halftime Bar and Grill. Check them out if you're in the Lake George, South Glens Falls area. They're right on Route 9 in South Glens Falls. Give them a call ahead. Great food there. 518-792-4869. That's 518-792-4869. Of course, Kat's Limo Service. Check her out. Yeah, check her out. But if you have a limousine need someplace in the U.S. of A., got to give Kat a call, 202-351-7496. 202-351-7496. So, and of course, your lawyer, man. You need a lawyer. Come on. You know you do. Give Campanero and Tom a call, 845-221-4099. That's 845-221-4099. Abner Mares, Victor Chinian, Emilio Marino, and King Kong Igbeko. Not really King Kong Igbeko. Maybe Don King. Yeah. Don King for King Kong. Don King for King Kong. But the other day they had their press conference, and I tell you, I'm psyched about that fight. December 3rd, another big one on December 3rd. I tell you, that weekend is really shaping up nice because on December 2nd we're going to be doing the broadcast for the Holly Holm Sophie Mathis. They're calling it the Showdown in Albuquerque because the winner of that fight is going to get bragging rights for being the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the female boxing world, and we're going to get to be there. We're going to be there broadcasting. And here's the best part. We are going to have the exclusive replay right here on LDL TV and BillyCBoxing.com on Wednesday night, December 7th. Or is it December 6th? I don't know. It's the first Wednesday ever. I think it might be this. I think it's the 6th. But it's the Wednesday after the fight. So, check that out. Don't forget about the Billy C. Bucks and all the deals we've got going there, especially for that fight and for the big fight that's happening December 17th up in Quebec. And, that's another one that we're excited about, and that's Victor Lupo is getting a shot at the vacant WBC International Welterweight title, and he's taking on Anton D. Carey. And both of these fights, now the fight poster is already up for the Holly Holm Sophie Mathis fight. You can click it right now on BillyCBoxing.com. You click that baby, and it'll take you right to all the information about the card, where you can buy tickets and all that happy stuff. As soon as you buy tickets to either of these events, make sure you send us a copy so we can get you some Billy C. Bucks, man. We're doing a special on this. Any ticket is 5 Billy C. Bucks. And any ringside seat is 10. You set up an account, you start saving, and then redeem those points for anything we sell, T-shirts, books, whatever you want, man. So, right off the bat, you got two good cards that we are helping promote, and we want you to capitalize on just going without even spending another penny. We're going to give you, we're giving you some money, but check it out. As far as the Lupo Di Cari fight, we will have the fight poster up as soon as it's sent to us, and you can link and get some tickets there. I'm thinking about going to that one. That's not a bad ride for me, but I'm thinking about going to that one. But anyway, it was announced yesterday that there's what is it with Dallin? I see David Allen. He's logged on not once but twice onto the chat room. What's he having an argument with himself again? Is that David Allen is losing his mind. This guy's losing his friggin' mind. He's on here and he's arguing with himself. Doesn't he realize that that's both of his IDs? His pantyhose must be too tight today. I don't know, but it was announced yesterday that there's going to be a fight. Roy Jones Jr. With his promotional company in association with TNT Promotions are getting ready to take a bath. As far as I'm concerned, Thanksgiving Feast of Fists is the name of this event, and it's taking place the day before Thanksgiving, November 23rd. Now in Pittsburgh, and by the way, if you see anybody that's involved with making championship belts, punch him in the face for me, will you? But anyway, and you'll be able to recognize him because he'll stink like donuts and coffee because he's a cop. But anyway, getting back to this, I'm sorry, was I serious? Oh no. But anyway, here's the thing. I just was talking to somebody about this yesterday, not this fight, but about doing stuff around the holidays. And someone told me that the busiest night for like the bar scene or whatever is the night before Thanksgiving, which I never knew. I never realized that. I thought it would be the complete opposite. But I tell you one thing I do know, and this is from my own experience, that when you book boxing cards around the holidays, and I don't care what holiday it is, man, I'm talking about, I remember losing my ass around Valentine's Day, all right? They never do well. They never do well. At least the live gate. Now, if you have a television deal or something, that's a different story. But, kiss of death for the Meza Clay and Leon Bobo fight. Now, that's the main event. The main event is going to be Monty Meza Clay, who's 31 wins, 3 losses. He's going to be taking on Leon Bobo, who's 18-8-1. Yeah, so not only are they choosing to have it the day before a major holiday, but they're giving us some crap matchup too. I mean, let's be real. This is a no-go. For anybody that forgot our go, don't go, watch, don't watch segment, this is clearly a don't go. I would not waste my Thanksgiving Eve, whatever, if they were giving tickets away, I wouldn't go see this matchup. I mean, unless you're related to one of the fighters. And here's the thing. They have a co-main event that's just as bad. They have Andreas Taylor, who's 19-1-2. He's going to be taking on Gary the Pitbull Gomez, who's 19-12, and he's got 2 draws. Here's the only thing Gomez can bring to the table. He's the Utah State Cruiserweight champion. Let me just ask you one question. How many? I mean, when you think of boxing and talented fighters, does Utah come into mind at all? Does Utah come into your mind at all? I'm not sure. But Yoel Casamayor, smoking the weed. Yep. He's smoking the weed, man. He tested positive for marijuana following his fight, his knockout loss to junior welterweight champ Timothy Bradley on Saturday on the undercard of Manny Pacquiao and Juan Manuel Marquez numero 3. It was released yesterday that he definitely tested positive. And, Nevada State Athletic Commission tests the fighters before and after the fights. And the commissioner, who's, or I guess his official title is Executive Director, Keith Kaiser, said that he's going to be filing a complaint and it looks like they're going to have a hearing for Yoel Casamayor, and they will definitely suspend him. And that's what the Las Vegas, or I should say Nevada State Athletic Commission, will do in this case, which will carry him. I don't know how long of a suspension they will have. They can also fine him, and according to the Nevada State Athletic Commission and their rules, they could fine him up to all of his purse money, which was $100,000. And in that case, if he gets fined, let's say they fine him $100,000, which was his purse, he ends up reaching into his pocket because all of his expenses had to be paid out of that first. So I mean, just because he tested positive doesn't mean his manager and his trainer and his fitness guy, whoever else he's paying, doesn't get their money. So it could be a pretty claim. And as it is, he already had almost $7,000 deducted from his purse because of child support he hasn't paid. It's the same old story with these guys sometimes. I mean, I just wish that they would just use their heads sometime. And boxing is so the business of boxing and the sport of boxing, it's so short term. It's not like a regular job where you can work into your 50s and 60s. Boxing, I mean, Yoel Casamayor is already long past what most make it. He's already 40. So I mean, most fighters don't even make it that long. So unfortunate for Yoel Casamayor. I think that I think it's a shame. I think it's a shame, and I hope it works out okay for him because this particular case, he's trying to get some money together, and this was a stupid thing for him to do. But anyway, hey, listen, I'm going to take a short break. When I come back, we're scheduled to have Marty Mulcahy, and we're going to talk about the fights that took place last week, and we'll also talk about the fights that are scheduled to take place this week. I'll be back in about 2.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
If you like match play in golf, especially with the overriding theme of us against them, you understand why the President's Cup, featuring pro golfers from the U.S. versus the rest of the world, has become so popular. That's next with me, the Sports Princess, on Sports Shorts.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Nesquik. Try Nesquik 4-packs, perfect for lunches and great for kids on the go. Look for it in the juice aisle. Snack time is a great chance to sneak extra calcium into your child's diet without making him feel like he's eating something he doesn't want. Serve up dairy-rich foods like smoothies, flavored milk, frozen yogurt, and string cheese. He'll love the treat, and you'll love knowing how good it is for him. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
17 years ago, the inaugural President's Cup was launched. It's similar to the Ryder Cup, which has been around since the 20s, in that it's held biannually. It features non-playing captains and its match play format. Biggest difference is the President's Cup has 6 extra matches. Scoring's easy, whether it's doubles or singles, all matches are worth a point. 17.5 points wins. The 4-day tournament alternates from courses in the U.S. and abroad. This time it's in Melbourne, Australia. There's always a lot of speculation about the picks. Fred Couples, the U.S. captain this time around, used his free pick to go with Tiger Woods for his 6th appearance, while the international skipper Greg Norman went with a lot of Australians. Both are being criticized. It just adds to the drama and will probably attract more TV viewers this weekend. I'm the Sports Princess with Sports Shorts.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C., the only radio host man enough to take a punch from Mike Tyson.
Wait a minute, man. Hold on there. Jeremy, man, I need you to take this one, all right?
Wait, what? No way. I can't do this.
Need I remind you I'm Billy C., damn it? Now put on that mustache and get in there.
Hey, look at me. I'm Billy C. Crap.
The undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2. My fellow Americans, good evening. Welcome back to Talking Boxing with Billy C. It's great to be here discussing the sweet science with everybody. I love boxing. I love talking boxing. It's what I do.
Bill.
Wait, what?
Bill.
Why are you interrupting me? What?
Wrong.
What's the problem?
Billy,
What?
C.
I did not have...
We're gonna have to ask
wrong
you.
speech. What do you mean wrong, Billy C? What's going on here? Fine, I'll go. I just wanted to talk some boxing on TPSradio.net. That's all I wanted to do. I don't need your damn show. I'll get my own talking wrestling with the other Billy C. Yeah, that sounds good. I've always been a Hulkamaniac anyway.
Broadcasting live, brother. Welcome back to Talking Boxing with Billy C. on the mighty TPSradio.net, brother. What you gonna do, brother?
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C radio show, and you're watching us on the Fight Now channel. That's right, man. You asked for it, you got it. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Combat sports. It's here right now, and it's called Fight Now. So you got to call your local television provider and tell them that you want the Fight Now channel added to your lineup. And I want to welcome the Fight Now audience just joining us like they do every single day, Monday through Friday, from 6 to 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time live. So we love the fact that we're on there. That's for sure. That's for sure. But anyway, speaking about love, yeah, you got to love this guy. Wait till I give him some news, too.
My man from Max Boxing, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Marty Mulcahy.
You know, I'm sorry, training is part of the fight as far as I'm concerned. And if you lack in that fundamental aspect, you deserve to lose. End of story. When you come to my town, you're going to lose no matter what you do.
Who does it better than Marty Mulcahy?
Well, I tell you what, the Jets came to his town last night and they lost. So what's up, my man?
Yeah, greetings for the Tebow State.
Yeah. Yeah. I should hang up on your ass for that, but anyway. Hey, you know what? Listen, just
I'm a Redskins fan. I'm just an interloper in Colorado. All right.
You're a Redskins fan. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
They're having a rough time too, but I think they're going to come around. But the Jets, you know, it's a typical thing, and there is a relationship to fights in boxing because the Jets came across as being these badass, you know, defense, punch you in the mouth kind of a team. And to me, they've just turned into a bunch of loudmouth bullies, man. And we all see what happens to loudmouth bullies. When you stand up to them, they fall away, you know.
They just couldn't close the deal. You know, that was almost like a soccer game. I hate to say it because in soccer games, it's that one mistake that does you in against a quality team. I'm not saying that them was a quality team, but that pick six, that was it. That was the one big mistake. Other than that, the Jets won it.
Yeah, well, they've been doing that every week. He's been throwing those every week. I think he's had 3 in a row now. So anyway, hey, I got some good news before we start talking. You know, I don't know if you picked up on it. I know that we don't get a chance to talk as much as we should, but you know, we're in the process of redoing a new studio and everything, and people are starting to, some organizations are starting to get pretty psyched about some of the things that we're going to be able to do. And one of them that I've been requested is to do a weekly show with you on our picks, on the breakdowns and stuff. So we got to figure out a way to get a camera on your mug, man.
I'm not sure if the camera can handle my face. There's a reason I'm on radio. But, hey, competing mustaches, we can do that.
Hey,
I think that's doable.
Hey, all we could do is we could put, you know, nobody has to know it's really you, so we could put a picture of somebody else. We could put a picture of somebody else up there if you want.
Can it be like the wrestling guy, like Mysterio? I can wear a mask.
Yeah, that's it. Hey, that's a good idea. You could wear the mask. You could be the mystery man from Colorado. But anyway, let's talk about a couple of the fights from last week. Obviously, there's some discussion to make on a few, but first and foremost, the one that's off the same card, Tyson Fury against Nevin Pikic. Now, we talked a lot about that. We got to watch it right here on Fight Now. You know, Tyson Fury, first of all, Nevin Pikic was regarded as not a power puncher, but he's definitely a tough guy, brawler, kind of a fighter, and a character outside the ring as well. And Tyson Fury, we both know about him. He seems to not have gotten better as time has gone on. He has fought better opposition and came out on top. But in the fight last week, we saw that if you do hit him, he could crumple to the canvas. What's your thoughts?
Well, Patch is just a naturally big guy. I mean, yesterday we were talking about it. Last Friday, I talked about it. That this is one of those trap fights where it's kind of between big names. It's like a big college football team, ignoring the team they have in front of them and looking ahead to the big game. And I said last week, if Tyson Fury does not take him seriously and fights the wrong fight, tries to get inside with this guy, does not use his range, that he's going to struggle. And, hey, the knockdown did wake him up. And let's give credit. Everybody looks at the knockdown and says, look at that, bad, bad, bad. Let's look at what happened afterwards. He got up from it. He seemed to learn from it. He shook it off. And, getting up from a knockdown like that, it's not just the physical part of it. Yeah, you have to get up. You have to shake it off. And that shows also that he trained pretty well for this fight, too. That was a pretty good punch. He survived. You have to ride it out mentally and understand what happened and come back stronger the next round and let the guy know that, hey, you put me down, but I'm still here, and maybe plant a seed in the other guy's mind. Now, luckily, the referee, didn't let that seed grow. He just stopped it in the following round. We know when Tyson Fury, to his credit, rallied back, showed some accurate punching and put Patrick down. So I look at it more as the knockdown as a positive in a way for Tyson Fury, because I always thought he was going to win this fight, but if he did not focus and did not fight the right fight, he had that chance of looking bad, and he did look bad, but he made it through, and he's going to go on to bigger and better things. And I don't think a rematch is really going to be a factor here.
No, there's nothing. Risk versus reward. There's too much risk, no reward here. But I agree with you. And someone else had made that comment. I don't know if it was in the chat room or an email or even on the show. But that not enough people are giving credit to Tyson Fury and his display of heart, which he definitely displayed. And I'll be honest with you, I saw that he had heart when he fought Derek Chisora, because he was in trouble at the end of that fight as well. So. I give him that much, but you know what? Damn it, Marty, this guy needs to get some American training, and I don't think that Chris Johnson, who's working with him now, who's worked with guys like Steve Molitor in the past, I don't think that's his answer. He needs a throwback, old-fashioned, I want to say New York or Chicago type trainer, man. Tommy Gallagher, somebody like that. That's what Tyson Fury needs to just tweak him a little bit, and then. You know what? The guy because of the size factor, he could make a splash. You never know.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but if you look at the guy who's been training big guys and doing well, then it would have to be Emmanuel Stewart. Look what he's done with Lennox Lewis, with the Klitschko's. He has experience in teaching these big guys, and it's not really the boxing. Because the thing I hate about American athletes who come to the sport, former football players, is they didn't grow up in the sport. So when things go wrong, they don't really know how to react to it. Tyson Fury, he's been boxing since he was like 10, 12 years old, so he grew up in the sport. I think that's the reason why he actually survived that knockdown. He's been there mentally. He's seen other people go through it. He grew up in a gym, so that gives him that little bit of edge against other fighters. The heavyweights generally in the USA, they come to other sports, whereas in Europe, the big boys, they play some soccer. Other than that, they pretty much stick to boxing from the teens on. And my thought has always been, if you haven't grown up in the sport, you're at a disadvantage.
Apparently, based on an interview he did last week about saying that he needs some psychiatric help, is that apparently there was a lot of fighting going on in his house between his parents. So.
Yeah, his father's in jail right now. He pretty much gouged the guy's eyes out.
Yeah,
so,
that's like the worst thing.
It's not an ideal background he came out of.
Yeah, it's terrible. But I will say this. The only reason why I didn't mention Manny Stewart before, which is the obvious, like you mentioned, it's the obvious guy. Apparently, they tried working with each other. This was just before the fight that he was supposed to take place in here in the States on the undercard of the Carl Froch and Jermaine Taylor fight. I actually went to that fight to see Tyson Fury, and he was scratched because he was a kind of a diva. And at that time, he worked a little with Manny Stewart, and I recall him making a crazy statement like, Manny Stewart can't teach me anything I don't know already. And I think, he makes a statement like that, it gets back to Stewart. Stewart's going to be like, lose his number, come on.
Yeah. Well, I think it was 2 fights ago, Tyson Fury was kind of working with Emmanuel Stewart when he went to go train with with Vladimir Klitschko up in the the Swiss mountains. Well, here goes another thing. Also, he doesn't have to come to America. He can go to Vladimir Klitschko's, Vitaly Klitschko's current trainer, Fitz Sudanek, or the German trainer, and that's a no-nonsense guy right there. So, and he's used to working with big fighters. I think he's also helping with the Norwegian Nightmare right now, Hellenic. So that will be another option. You can stay in Europe and train under Fitz Sudanek, who I think is just an excellent trainer in his own right.
I tell you what, I got to meet him recently. He trains Brackus as well, and the guy don't smile. I mean, I'm trying to get him to laugh and stuff.
That's the German mentality, right?
Man, I tried to get him to laugh. We were in the same car that we were getting driven to a press conference, and we were talking. It was very yes and no answers. I tried to loosen him up a bit, and this guy looked like he wanted to beat the hell out of me. But anyway, let's talk about a couple other fights on that card. First and foremost, Mike Alvarado and Brendan Prescott. This is a hometown guy. He's proud of where he lives. He's got a tattooed of his area code right on his chest. And for all intent and purposes, he was losing that fight. And I tell you what, he just showed me that this is not a world champion caliber guy when it comes to, talent level. However, because of his heart and his never die and never quit attitude, dramatically, he comes back and knocks out Prescott in the final round. I felt that was his only way to win. What's your thoughts?
The action guy. I mean, this fight showed exactly what Alvarado is. He's barely a top 10 in talent, but in heart, he's top 5, the top 3 easily. I'm trying to think of the top 10 right now, junior welterweight. I think he loses to every top 10 guy, but every top 10 guy is going to be a fun fight to watch. Maybe he takes out a Lamont Peterson. That's a really stacked weight class. You know what? I think would be the greatest fight in that matchup. A guy who really mirrors him and Marcos Medina. Put those two in the ring together. That should be just a war. Because if you look at Bradis Prescott, he's a power guy, and he was able to make out in the early rounds, make Alvarado miss. And good Lord, he hardly makes anybody miss. And Alvarado's a guy who he needs to get a couple rounds under his belt. He needs to get that engine going and churning. And in the middle rounds and late rounds, he really came on. But the blood also, was a factor in this fight. I don't know if that affected his accuracy. But when he keeps you in range, when you cannot escape Alvarado and he forces the fight, he has the advantage because physically he's a strong guy. Last week I mentioned he was a high school wrestler. He has really good balance. So on the inside, he can grapple with you. He can lock you up. He can kind of, hold you and twist you a bit. He's just a physically strong fighter. And if I'm a matchmaker, Maidana against Alvarado on the undercard of the next big pay-per-view, that would that gives me extra incentive to buy a fight card.
Yeah, no, that's a great matchup. But a lot of rumors are talking about Bam Bam Rios, who wants to move up in weight, and Bam Bam Rios against Alvarado would be another good one as well.
That would be good, and it's kind of funny. I saw both of them on the same card. That would be, granted, that would be an action fight. But I would give Rios the advantage in that simply because he's just the more fluid boxer in this, and he would. I would think if the added weight is not a big problem, I would think you'd even have the speed advantage. And Alvarado's besides this fight, he's been cut in 2 other fights that I can remember offhand, so that would also pose a problem down the road.
Well, Alvarado has a tendency to throw his punches really wide, and a good boxer will get to him. And like you mentioned, Rios, although he's not exactly a polished fighter, he's more polished than Alvarado. And cut is an understatement. The guy had a half-inch chunk of his lip out missing, man. That was gruesome. But one last fight I want to talk about before we talk about the main event, and real quickly because I don't want to run out of time. But Timothy Bradley against Yoel Casamayor. I think that they were hoping that Timothy Bradley would perform well enough to possibly match him up with Manny Pacquiao, but that's took a different turn in itself. And now the testing positive for the weed thing with Yoel Casamayor. The bottom line is this: people. I think that fighters like Timothy Bradley, Marty. I think that we can't always blame the opponent. Everybody's blaming Yoel. Well, he didn't come to fight. He was holding. He was using the headbutt. He was doing all these things. And how many times did Timothy Bradley just look frustrated and shrug his shoulders like, I'm trying to fight this guy, but you know what? opponents aren't supposed to just stand in front of you and let you pound the hell out of them. I mean, at some point, don't we have to say to Timothy Bradley, hey, you got to figure out a way to fight these guys that are coming just to survive?
Yeah, I think Bob Arum famously told George Foreman, I can't make these guys stand in front of you and fight. You actually have to chase them down. Listen, last week I mentioned to you, I did not understand this matchmaking because top rank, you figure they want to make Bradley look good. So Joao Cosmore is not the person you want to fight if you want to make your man look good to try and get him a bigger fight. I mentioned the Robert Guerrero fight before this. Everybody was on Guerrero saying, why didn't he stop Casamayor? Why didn't he do better? I'm sorry, Casamayor just does not let anyone look good. This guy is a great boxer, a borderline Hall of Fame boxer. A guy who came out of that vaunted Cuban amateur system, and he's not going to make you look good. And if you make a mistake like Robert Guerrero did in the 10th round, he'll put you down because he does have some power. I mentioned the Michael Castidas fight where he was falling behind, and he had that punch to it's not a hard punch, but it's so short, it's so accurate, you don't see it coming, and it's a trap punch. So if you get too cocky, you get too sure of yourself, Casamayor will make you pay. And Tim Bradley, to his credit, this is a guy who got up from that punch from Holt. I still remember that when those two fought. That punch should have put him down and out. This is a guy who comes to fight 100% every time, physically and mentally prepared, and he tries his best, he tries his hardest. But I think in this fight, his feet were kind of exposed, where he could not put Casamayor in a corner, could not force him to fight him. So that's the one aspect Timothy Bradley still has to work on. It is cutting off the ring. And if he can't do that, he can't force his physicality on people, his volume punching. So that was his big problem. He couldn't do it. And against this opponent, it worked out that way. But like I said, look at the top 10 of junior welterweight right now. Outside of Amir Khan, who I don't think anybody can hang with Bradley in this division. And I think that's the big fight that they have to go for. But having turned it down before, I think now they would actually have to take a pay cut.
Of course, and I don't know how long Amir Khan's going to be there. He might be leaving that division real soon. But, of course, Manny Pacquiao, Juan Manuel Marquez, so much discussion about this fight. I even got an email, somebody telling me I don't know how to judge a fight because clearly Juan Manuel Marquez had at least 118 points, said that the fight was that Manny Pacquiao only won 4 rounds. I scored the fight a draw, and the only reason why I scored it a draw, Marty, is because I did what you're supposed to do. I scored it after every round. I gave who I thought won 10 points. I gave who I thought lost 9 points. At the end of the night, I added it up. I got 114. I wouldn't have argued with either 115, 113 score for either side. I think the fight was that close. I don't think someone won that fight decisively. I know that, it seems that Marquez got robbed again, which, I'm not disputing that. If the fight was in Mexico, he probably wins. But, on the other hand, I think the main thing here, really, is that both corners failed their fighters. I think that a guy that's traditionally known for being one of the best on-the-fly guys that makes changes and game plan adjustments is Freddie Roach. I think that he failed to do that, and I also think Nacho made a huge mistake telling his fighter how comfortably ahead he was.
Yeah, I think that was the big one. Wow, there's so much to hit in this one. I go back to last week where I said everybody was getting on Juan Marquez because he was going for bulk over speed, and I told you last week he's not a speed fighter, he's a timing fighter, and that was his one advantage, and that's why he's always going to make Pacquiao look ordinary. This is just a matchup where you hate to use the cliche, but styles make fights, and these two styles, it favors Marquez. He wants Pacquiao to attack him. 99% of the boxers in the world do not want that. They don't have the timing. They don't have the eyes of Marquez, who somehow senses or sees it coming. He knows what's coming, and he times the counter. And he made Pacquiao look average in there. I had Marquez by 1 round. I'm with you either way. 1 or 2 points either way. You score that by 2 points, I respect it. And and like I said many times on your show before, when it's a close fight like this, I give the judges the benefit of the doubt because seeing a fight live is much bit different than seeing it on TV. You can hear punches land that you did not see land, and just various little stuff like that. My big thing was the Pacquiao supporters, why I don't give them a hard time in this is he was the aggressor the whole time. He threw more punches. And judges, at the end of the day, at the end of the round, they'll look at it and they say if it's a close round, who was the aggressor? Who made the fight? Now, on ring generalship, all Marquez. On who made the fight, all Pacquiao. Which do you favor? They obviously favor Pacquiao.
You know, it's funny. Harold Letterman said that based on ring generalmanship, it was Pacquiao that he thought won. You know, and he had a lopsided score for Pacquiao. You know, I don't know.
Well, you could say Pacquiao decided where the engagements were going to take place in the ring. Let's put it that way. He always he forced the fight. He forced the battles. The little skirmishes. He was initiating. He was engaging. You never saw Marquez come forward and, after a big flurry by Pacquiao, you never saw him, jump right back in and start countering. He always backed up a little bit more, made a little bit more space, and tried to figure things out. He was never forcing the action with his movement. It was always reactionary. And like I said, the judges, especially Vegas judges and West Coast judges, they seem to favor that aggression over ring generalship. And I think this fight takes place in Europe. I think Marquez wins. And you know what? Even in Mexico, I think Pacquiao might have got the benefit of the doubt simply because if you look at judging, this is, maybe it's an ethnic bias, but you always think of, Latin judges or West Coast judges favoring the action fighters. And you go over to Europe, they seem to favor the boxers. Sven Otke always winning fights over in Germany. We say, well, how do you win that fight? That's the style of boxing that they favor.
You know, we have a poll question up on BillyCBoxing.com. Should there be a fourth fight? I know that Bob Arum's talking about it. All the Marquez fans want it. Right now it's the no's are winning. But the only way I would entertain another fight, to be honest with you, because like you, I think that the result could virtually be the same as we've seen in the other three, is if the fight was indeed held in Mexico, because that's the only thing that has not taken place. It's always been kind of Pacquiao's backyard, so to speak. And one thing I did notice about Juan Manuel Marquez that I didn't bring up at all this week, and I haven't even mentioned it, and to be honest with you, I haven't heard anyone else mention it. It seemed like Marquez was waiting for that attack that Manny Pacquiao does so much. It seemed like he was waiting for that onslaught and had something ready to counter him with. But that onslaught never came. That was one thing that Manny did not do during that fight, and there was not one instance, not one flurry, not one round where he turned around and said, I'm going to really step on the gas and pour it on. And he never did it. And one other thing that I noticed that I believe that Joe Santoliquito mentioned on Wednesday's show was that he seemed a little winded. And you know what? I think that Joe was right. By like the fifth or sixth round, Manny Pacquiao was taking deep breaths in the corner trying to get his wind back.
Well, I think, Freddie Roach in a couple of interviews last week said, perhaps we did overtrain him a bit. But also look at the judging, and everybody else got the sense that Pacquiao won the last 3-4 rounds. So as much as we say that, the scorecard reflects something else. He did come on and take those last couple rounds.
How did you score those last? See, I scored the last 2 rounds for Juan Manuel Marquez.
Yeah, the 12th round I scored for Pacquiao. I think the 10th was really was close, and the 11th I thought that Marquez did edge it. At the accuracy, I just admire that so much about Marquez, that he's one of the few guys, and actually a guy who nobody thinks of this is Carl Frosch. He's one of the guys that he'll throw simultaneously with his opponent. A guy who is willing to take that punishment in order to land his own shots. Now, it's not one of those things but with Marquez, he does not abandon defense. He does not abandon positioning or balance. He's willing to throw at the same time as his opponent, but it's on his terms, and that's why he took out Michael Castillas the way he did. It was with big punches like that. The timing has to be just impeccable, and that's what Marquez has. He has world-class Hall of Fame timing and anticipation. He anticipated the punches. And remember what I said last week. There are certain fighters, Nassim Hamed, Manny Pacquiao, who are just so unorthodox that if you have not faced them before, you are at a supreme disadvantage. And remember, Marquez had faced Manny Pacquiao twice before. He saw what was coming, and that's why he's always going to have a certain advantage that no other boxer in the world will have against Manny Pacquiao. He's seen it before, and he knows how to react to it. Like Floyd Mayweather, that's going to be his big disadvantage. Where do you get a sparring partner that emulates what Pacquiao does? It's an impossibility because he's a one-of-a-kind fighter.
You know, and Pacquiao, once he got cut too, his output stopped. But hey, there's a couple of fights.
People say a lot, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing for Pacquiao. You cut him, and that's your first step in beating him. There's a couple of fights I wanted to talk about this week. Let's talk about the biggest one first, since we're running out of time. Julio Cesar Chavez against Peter Manfredo Jr. You know, this is actually a really good matchup between two fighters, and you know, I know most people are leaning towards Chavez in this one, but I think it's kind of a 50-50 fight. What do you think?
Just size. I think Julio Cesar Chavez is a super middleweight who works his way down to middleweight, and unless you have the punching power to keep him off of you, or the really good feet to keep him away from you, you're at a disadvantage with him. And Peter Manfredo doesn't have either. I think he has some of the bulk to deal with him for 3-4 rounds, but I think it's a lot like Zivic, where he's going to look good in the initial 3-4 rounds and kind of outbox him, but he's going to get worn down. And Chavez, as much criticism as he gets, you know, for not being his father, he's a legitimate, I think now, bottom top 10 type of guy who's really working his way up to the top 5 by boxing. You know, remember, he's what, 24, 25? He's already got 45 fights under his belt, so he's learning his way into the top 10 almost, and this is a good learning experience. If you look at it just on the basis of who they are, I think Manfredo, he's the better boxer, but I just don't think he can hang with Chavez physically, and much like this is a big fight, you know, the late rounds are going to be all Chavez, and I could see a late round stoppage for Chavez Jr. Those body shots wear on you. And like his father, that's the one thing he has. He's really good at finding the home for his body shot. He'll loop it around the elbow. He'll come right up the middle for it and try to hit you in the bed basket. Just a really underrated body puncher is what he is. And that combination of physicality and body punching just wears out an opponent. That is what he has in common with his father. He's a wear-you-down guy. If you cannot avoid him, you're going to lose to him.
There's a rematch of two guys that were world title challengers, and both seemingly had dead careers, and they put them in against each other with the promise of one of them getting a shot. The fight ends up being an entertaining one and ends in a draw. Well, they got a rematch, Antonio Petulia against Casimir Rivera. This is a really tough fight. Who do you like in this one?
Yeah, I think this is the fight of the weekend, actually, because the first fight was really good. The reason in the last fight I was wrong. I picked Antonio Petalua to win this fight, despite his age. I mean, he's kind of like Bernard Hopkins. He's 41, 42 years old. And the reason I did not pick Casimir Romero coming into this fight was his inactivity. He was a guy who had large chunks that took like a year off in between fights and stuff like that. And he had not really fought good opposition. But it might have been a case where his body needed that rest in order to come back, because he's up there in age himself. I know he's over 30, and he needed that rest because he has the boxing ability, he has the experience, and he actually has the size on Petalua. He's like 3-4 inches taller. As you watch the fight, that really made a difference. He was able to stay out of Antonio Petalua's punching range, and Petalua is a guy who can change the complexity of the fight with one punch. He's really one of this generation's overlooked power punchers, a guy who can just change the fight with one big right hand. And it looked like he had that against Casimir Rivera in the 4th or 5th round. He hit him with a really big punch. It changed the tide for 3-4 rounds, but Rivera, he's a veteran guy. He's been in against some really good fighters. He knew how to react, and he was able to physically stay in there with Petalua, because I think he's the bigger man, and he was able to absorb that punch. And I look at it the same way this time. I think if Petalua does not land the big fight-changing punch, Rivera's going to outbox him as he did for much of this fight from the outside. If you look at the fight, I thought Pitallura won 3-4 rounds, but because of his power punching, because he hit him with some big punches that I guess the judges remembered more than actually Cosmio Rivera did. He was able to get some swing rounds that I didn't think he deserved. And Rivera just won the majority of that fight. I think out of the 40 minutes, he probably won 35, 34. So I'm going to go with that focus and say that he's going to win the majority of this fight again. Probably have to ride out one or two rough patches, but he should be able to do it. Just on, much like Marquez against Pacquiao, on having seen it before, knowing how to deal with it. With boxing, the unknown, that's the big thing. It creates mental doubts. I don't think Rivera has any mental doubts about this fight, and I look forward to win this fight going away.
Two other ones real quick, Marty. Enzo Macronelli is coming back as a light heavyweight, which I mean, we basically this guy has been almost killed every time he's lost in his last couple of fights. I mean, devastating knockout losses. The funny thing is that I can't picture this guy. I think of one name when I think of him going down in weight, and I think of Chris Bird and what happened to him. Is this going to be a repeat, or do you think the light heavyweight division is right for Macronelli at this stage of his career?
Well, he obviously could not handle the physicality, of the cruiserweights. Every time he was in there against a big guy, he wasn't just knocked out; he was destroyed. I just think I don't think it's going to be a problem getting down to the weight because if you looked at him at cruiserweight, he wasn't really a big cruiserweight, and you could see around the midsection he had some weight he could lose. It's just that I think he's absorbed so much punishment over his career that he really is just a name now. He's not what he was. If he ever really was all of that, he was very hittable in his prime. He had really good offense, but it came down to if you could handle his offense, you could beat him. I know nothing about his opponent, the Morosky kid. I know he's from Hungary. He's an Eastern European, so I'm assuming he has some good amateur background. Now, that's a big assumption. But if he has that amateur background, I think he beats a Macronelli who, at cruiserweight, was kind of stationary. And at light heavyweight, I would think he was sitting duck against a quality opponent. And frankly, I hate to say it, but I'm waiting for another big highlight reel type knockout once Macronelli steps in because of his name against a quality opponent. And getting past this Morosky boxer is no given, unfortunately. You have to say that for him. He was just almost Gaddieff. He was fun to watch, but you always knew that if he didn't get to you, they were going to get to him.
And finally, the real nail biter. I know that you're really looking forward to this fight more than anything. Francis Botha against Michael Grant for the WBF World Heavyweight title. What do you think, man?
Well, this has a really good chance of being an entertaining fight because these guys are kind of old. It's not like they're going to be in there dancing. They're going to engage, and give Francois Botha some credit here. I didn't think he was going to beat that Flo Simba kid. I really thought highly of this Flo Simba, watching some of his fights on YouTube, and he destroyed him. Now, Flo Simba, since that fight, has gone on to get knocked out in the first round against a very ordinary opponent. So was it a case of Francois Botha ruining that kid, or that kid just not being what I and others thought he was? And look at Francois Botha's loss to Vander Holyfield. Competitive. He's never really been blown out in a fight. Francois Botha's always been competitive. And with Michael Grant, like I mentioned earlier in the show, he's an athlete who came to boxing because, things didn't pan out in his sport of choice. So over time, he's kind of made himself into a boxer, but when the chips were down, he fell apart. And I think Francois Botha is going to plant some of those seeds. The fight's in South Africa. I'm not sure what part of South Africa, so I'm not sure if altitude is going to play a role in this fight. That's something I really should have looked at. But that would favor Francois Botha in this fight simply because he's the more bulky guy, and if it's at altitude, that's going to fight Michael Grant, who was never really, despite his size, a come-forward fighter. He was always lets the other guy initiate he fought pretty good backing up and used his range. So like I said, I think location, as in realty, is the thing about this fight. Not only altitude-wise, but where they're going to fight it. If Michael Grant can keep the fight in the middle of the ring, kind of use that size and not get pushed backwards too much, and not see if he has that wear and tear on his legs, I think Francois Botha is going to win this fight. It's the Michael Grant fight. If you look at his fight against Tomas Adamek, he had his moments there, especially late, but that was against a really small opponent, and if you look at that fight, Tomas Adamek pushed him backwards really effectively, and I think Francois Botha is going to do the same thing, and if he doesn't knock him out, that the come-forward aggression is going to be favored by the judges, and he wins the decision.
Marty, great job as always, and we look forward to you next week, my man.
Well, I don't know what we're going to have to talk about, but, it's going to be like 2 fights to review, and, and with any luck, there'll be something good on the schedule. This is, other than the Frosch fight coming up, Frosch against Ward, it's going to be a quiet Christmas season for it.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. We'll talk about the Billy C. Boxing Hall of Fame that's taking place this weekend, so we'll tell you.
That's worthy.
We'll tell you about that. So, all right, my man, enjoy the fights, and we'll talk to you next week.
You as well. Been great as always.
All right, take care. That's the man, the myth, the legend himself, Marty Mulcahy. Hey, I got to take a break. I'll be back in 2.
Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. now has official merchandise available on TalkinBoxing.com. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, and mugs. And yes, even undergarments. Talkin' Boxing apparel is the perfect gift for the boxing fan in your life. Log on to www.talkinboxing.com. That's TalkinBoxing.com and place your order today.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man. www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com, and tell them Billy C sent ya.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. He may not have an Excellence in Broadcasting award, but the night's still young.
And he's got martinis.
So you never know what may be by morning. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
Now let's dig into our archives and hear a rare interview when Billy C. first became the champion of boxing talk radio. Hello, Billy C. As the new champ, can we ask you a few questions?
Why, certainly.
Okay, your fans would like to know how you and your corner have successfully walloped the competition.
We're not ordinary people. We're morons.
Anything else?
I'm a victim of circumstance.
Did your success finally come when you made the show 5 days a week for 2 hours? What do you think?
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Now, please tell the listeners what you've learned from making it this far.
Certainly. If at first you don't succeed, keep on sucking till you do succeed.
Great words of wisdom, Billy C. Keep up the great work as the undisputed People's Champion with your show, Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. Any last words to anyone who's listening?
This is your fault, you bonehead.
And we're back. You are listening to the Talking Boxing Billy C radio show, and you're watching us on the Fight Now channel. That's right, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, combat sports. The Fight Now channel. You got to call your local television provider right now and tell them that you want the Fight Now channel added to your lineup. Don't forget, every night is Fight Night on Fight Now, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Check out their website, www.fightnow.com. Hey, also, a reminder, if you're looking for an attorney, I don't care if you got some real estate, if you got some marriage problems. I don't know if you're a criminal, if you're like Yoel Casamayor and you know, smoking a little weed or something, or maybe had a little too much to drink and got behind the car, wheel of the car, whatever. If you need an attorney, you got to give Campaign Compliments a call. 845-221-4099. That's 845-221-4099. Tell them Billy C sent you for some big discounts. You know, we were talking about some fights, and Marty was giving us a little heads up on how the schedule is kind of poor. You know, and in the beginning of the show, I was saying about the fight that was announced yesterday on Thanksgiving Eve between Monty Meza-Clay and Leon Bobo, which is kind of a joke matchup to begin with, and generally around the holidays, it's tough to get people to come to boxing events. Well, Eric Morales apparently is going to have a last fight of the year fight as well. You know, it looks like, well, I don't know if he's going to be on the card or if it's his promotional company, but I think he's making an appearance. I don't think he's fighting, but it's his promotional company. They're also going to try a close to the holidays card. This one's Saturday, December 10th. It's going to be on television in Mexico, on Televisa, and Ramon Ayala, who's 21-2, will be taking on Manuel Aguilar, who's 17-4, and there'll be a vacant alphabet belt on the line. So, and it is talking about Sergio Martinez getting back in the ring in March, right around March 17th. There's a few fighters that they're talking about fighting. One of the sports pound-for-pound top fighters, Matthew Macklin, Andy Lee, Marco Antonio Rubio are on the list, as well as Dmitry Priag and Gennady Golovkin, who both hold some belts. You know, with all those names, the one name missing is the one we kind of want to see, and that's Floyd Mayweather Jr. Speaking of Floyd Mayweather Jr., Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather Jr., it's a fight that, you know, obviously most people in boxing want to see. A lot of us are already, you know, have reserved the fact that it may never happen, and, you know, we kid ourselves and tell you we don't care about it anymore. But really, that's the fight we want to make. And Oscar De La Hoya, who's been kind of vocal lately, I mean, he's involved with a soccer team, and he was trying to kick a 80-foot goal yesterday. I don't know if it went in or not. I know that he was scheduled to do it. You know, and we know he's always in the news when he wants to be. Well, he was in the news again yesterday when he said that he thinks that the only reason why a Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather fight will not happen, and that's his opinion, that it will not happen, is because he feels that Bob Arum is afraid. He says that he's afraid of want to have the fight happen. You know, he said it, his quote, who's the one stopping the fight from happening? He says Bob Arum doesn't want to see the fight will happen. You know, I don't know why. I don't know why he wouldn't want to see it. You know, he says Bob Arum himself has said that you know, Mayweather's afraid to fight Manny Pacquiao, and I don't think that that's the case. I think that and honestly, I don't know if I think that Bob Arum is afraid to have Manny Pacquiao lose, because Bob Arum, like a guy that was living in a glass house throwing stones, and Jose Suleiman, you know, a guy like Bob Arum, he knows that Manny Pacquiao only has a fight or two left in him. Because of his, you know, his extracurricular jobs. You know, he wants to really focus on being a politician and everything else. And Manny's a smart enough guy to know that, you know, his time may be coming close to an end. And Bob Arum knows that too. And don't for a minute think that Bob Arum cares whether Manny Pacquiao goes out with a W or an L. All he cares about is the money that he could make. And listen, you know, maybe it's the fact that Bob Arum has more money than he knows what to do with, or he has more money than he'll ever need for the rest of his life, his kids' lives, his great-great-grandkids' lives. I mean, all of that stuff. Maybe that's the case, and I just can't fathom thinking along those lines when I can't even go and buy a cup of coffee at a convenience store. Maybe that's his thought. Maybe it is more along the lines of pride, and he just wants to zing Floyd for leaving his promotional company and all that stuff. But I gotta really believe that he's so hung up on just making money that it's not about actually getting the money in his bank account. It's just the thrill of making it and making large sums of it. I think that's the drive, and that's the interest in a guy like Bob Arum. And with that said, I don't think he gives a crap about Manny Pacquiao's legacy or whether he wins or loses. I think it's all about how much money can be generated from the fight. So if the fight could be made, I don't think Bob Arum would walk away. I don't think Floyd Mayweather would walk away, and I certainly don't think Manny Pacquiao would walk away. But it takes all of those to tango. It takes Floyd, it takes Manny, it takes Bob Arum, it takes Oscar De La Hoya in a sense. So if all of these guys can play nice, sit down, and truly come up with a 50-50 split, because I'll tell you right now, that's the only way it's ever going to happen. And if they could truly come up with a 50-50 split, the fight will take place. Now whether it takes place in May or not, I don't know, because that's a moral victory. Mayweather can't announce that the fight's going to take place in May. They have to collectively and together announce stuff. And by Mayweather coming out and saying that they're going to fight him, the little guy, on May 5th, that was really saying that we're not going to fight him, because there's no way in hell that Bob Arum would agree to something like that, especially since they announced the venue and everything else. Yeah, but see, Bob Arum and Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao and Golden Boy and Freddie Roach and Leonard Ellaby, all those guys involved, they want to be at the bargaining table. They want to have their say. And until they all sit there with a clean slate and then start hashing it out, we won't see the fight. So, anyway, and speaking of Freddie Roach, he's got that HBO show. Remember, we've been hearing about it. They filmed it for HBO. It's a series. It's sort of like a reality series. It's going to be debuting in the middle of January 20th. So we'll be looking out for that one. I'm not one for these reality shows. I'm just not. I just, unless the hot girls just, want to live with me and stuff like that. Other than that, I have no interest. And, I wonder what the interest level is going to be for this. Freddie Roach is obviously got the pedigree, and he's got the success story and all of that when it comes to his training abilities. He had a decent professional career himself. But I think one of the things that unfortunately adds to his mystique is the fact that he's battling Parkinson's disease. And, I have a feeling that the ratings for this show are going to reach well beyond the people that are boxing fans. And whether they've been touched by the disease directly or indirectly, whether they just want to see a feel-good story, whether they want the guy overcoming the odds story, all of those scenarios match for this particular series. I'm anticipating it to do well, so we'll wait and see. It was announced yesterday that the world title fight for the super featherweight division, at least for the IBF, between Juan Carlos Salgado and Fernando David Soecito has been canceled. It's been canceled. We don't know why. And I don't know if it was an injury or what, but it was announced that the fight was canceled and it's done. And as far as some statements made, the challenger, Fernando David Soecito, said in a statement, "I totally feel disrespected. I believed in the word of the promoter that Salgado had begun training and he was preparing for this fight. Then I received news that they are looking for another opponent. I want to thank the IBF for this opportunity, but because of Salgado and his team, I'm missing out on the world title shot. It's obvious Salgado is scared to fight me. He must have seen videos of me fighting and knew that I would take his world title from him in his home country of Mexico." As far as Salgado, they claim that they never sent any contracts to Fernando David Soecito, and said that I don't know what he's talking about. I will tell you this: I had it on our schedule that this fight was signed, sealed, and delivered. So we'll see what happens with that. anyway, that's news. That's some news. Two other things I want to mention real quick. Don't forget about the fight that's taking place in Quebec City, December 17th. Victor Lupo against Anton Di Carrie for the WBC, some trinket belt that they're going to be having. You're going to be able to get tickets for that as soon as the fight poster is up on our website, www.BillyCBoxing.com. And don't forget, cash in on the special, just like the Holly Holm Sophie Mathis fight, which is for the #1 pound-for-pound ranking for female fighters in the world. Billy C. Bucks, man. Yep, Billy C. Bucks. We're giving you a double, no, triple. Right, triple. You get 5 Billy C. Bucks for any ticket you buy to either one of these events, and you get 10 Billy C. Bucks for any ringside seat that you can cash in. They never expire, all that happy stuff. Email me for information, billy@talkinboxing.com. One rule, you got to submit the tickets prior to the date of the event. And by the way, it's not just for these two events, it's for every event, except you normally get 1 Billy C. Buck for every ticket you buy, and 5 for ringside seats. So it's any event in the world. So, our heavyweight spotlight this week is on inaugural Billy C. Boxing Hall of Famer, and also a world heavyweight title challenger. He's also regarded as one of the hardest punchers ever to lace on a pair of gloves. Now you know who I'm talking about. Ernie Shavers. That's right. He's the heavyweight spotlight's on him. Ernie Shavers, first of all, not only is a stand-up guy, and I can't wait to hang with him. He's coming in late tonight. This guy's worth this whole weekend to chat with. I mean, what a nice guy, and what a powerful puncher he was. The only knock on him, excuse me, was that he questionably sometimes came into the ring out of shape, and other times the other big knock on him was he had a suspect chin. But aside from that, one of the hardest punchers ever. This was a guy that actually started in the sport of boxing relatively late. How about at age 22? Now, when I say started at boxing at age 22, I don't mean as a pro. I mean as an amateur. In 1969, he won the AAU heavyweight championship. In '68, he won the Cleveland Golden Gloves heavyweight championship in the novice division, and then a year later, he won the heavyweight championship in the open division. Many people regard Ernie Shavers as the hardest heavyweight in the history of boxing. Muhammad Ali had said one time that Ernie Shavers was the hardest puncher he has ever faced, and he said, and I quote, this is from Ali, "Ernie hit me so hard he shook my kinfolk back in Africa." Larry Holmes said that Shavers was also the hardest fighter that he ever met in the ring, and he compared Shavers to Mike Tyson, and he said being hit by Mike Tyson was like getting hit by a speeding Ferrari, but being hit by Ernie Shavers was like being hit by a Mack truck. But like I said, the weakness that Ernie had was that he had a weak chin. Now he got himself in the shape to fight for a world title. He beat some notable guys like Jimmy Ellis, Jerry Quarry, to name a few. Also Ron Lyle. He dropped Ron Lyle, but Lyle came back to beat him. This was a guy that fought a lot of fighters in his day. Some leftover fighters, and from years past, in the beginning of his career, and then he moved up and started fighting all of the usual suspects in the heavyweight division in the early 1970s, including one of my favorite fighters, Jimmy Young. He fought and stopped Jimmy Young in 3. Harold Carter, he beat and stopped in 1. Jimmy Ellis, he stopped in 1. Jerry Quarry, he lost to in 1. That's one of the fights he told me he regrets for various reasons, and one of the reasons were management. He lost to Ron Lyle. He actually fought Jimmy Young another time that ended in a draw. Some tough guys, some journeyman-type fighters like Henry Clark, he did well against. He got his world heavyweight title shot. He actually got 2. The first one came against Muhammad Ali in 1977, and he went the distance with Ali, losing a 15-round decision, rocking Ali a couple of times during that fight. Got back up on his horse. Immediately following the Muhammad Ali fight, he fought Larry Holmes and lost a 12-round decision. those were back-to-back losses that he avenged. Didn't avenge those losses, but got back in the ring and won some pretty important fights to get him back in the mix, including a first-round knockout over Kenny Norton in March of 1979, which got him the number one ranking after that fight, and then his subsequent third-round knockout win over Eddie Parrott. He got himself another shot at a world title, this time against Larry Holmes. And this was one of the most famous fights, and when we had Ernie on the show, he talked about this fight. He dropped Larry Holmes. Larry Holmes went down and hit the canvas as if he would never get up. It looked like Ernie Shavers killed Larry Holmes, but Larry Holmes got up. And it's funny to hear Ernie Shavers tell the story. As a matter of fact, he will be telling the story tomorrow night at the Billy C. Boxing Hall of Fame. When Larry got up, he basically knew it's going to be a long night. Larry Holmes subsequently knocked out Ernie Shavers in the 11th round to retain his world heavyweight title. Ernie Shavers didn't quit, got back up on his horse, so to speak, and fought some guys, some known guys that we know of, like Randall Tex Cobb and James Quick Tillis and Joe Bugner, winning and losing to a couple of those guys. Actually hung him up. He hung him up in 1983, but he decided to come back in 1987 and fought Larry Sims in Cincinnati, Ohio. Knocked him out in one round. And again, we figured that was the end of Ernie Shavers' career. But nay. About 8 years later, in 1995, he tried a comeback, ill-advised comeback. His first fight was against Brian Morgan. He won a 8-round decision. And then when he stepped in the ring 2 months later against Brian Yates, which was a journeyman fighter, he got knocked out in the second round. And he realized that his fighting days were over. Ernie Shavers had a career record of 75 wins, 69 of them coming by knockout. He did have 14 losses, stopped 7 times of those 14 losses, and he had a draw. This guy was 6 foot tall. He still is 6 foot tall. Still looks like he could throw down a few rounds for sure. 370 rounds as a professional with a 77% knockout ratio. Ernie Shavers, the heavyweight spotlight is on him this week. And he will be inducted into the Billy C. Boxing Hall of Fame this weekend. I'm looking forward to hanging with Ernie, and I hope you guys swing by and hang out with him as well, because this guy is worth the trip alone. And when you add him to Marlon Starling and Iceman John Scully and Greg Haugen and all of the post-inductees, their family members and special guests and celebrities that are coming for them, we're going to have a great time, and I hope you can join us. Hey, listen, I'm going to take a short break. When I come back, I'm going to give you the breakdowns and my predictions. And like David Allen says, there's going to be a trail of tears to my standing after this week, because I'm either going to win some or I'm going to lose them all coming up in about 2.
Join us here for 2 hours as Billy and the gang do what they do best.
Every time I start talking about boxing, a white man got to pull Rocky Marciano's ass. Rocky Marciano was good, but compared to Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano ain't.
Hit Joe Louis's ass.
Joe Louis was 75 years old when he fought.
Huh?
What?
We're supposed to be talking boxing.
It's Talking Boxing with Billy C. Talking Boxing with Billy C. Every week, 2 hours of the best boxing talk on the radio.
Mike Tyson looked like he put on some pounds. He was fat. He went into McDonald's and he just said to them, hey, give me 6 of everything on the menu. He put on 2 watches and covered 2 time zones. I'm talking fat here. Got on a scale the other day and it said, come on, one of you guys got to get off. Last thing I heard is that he jumped into the ocean and he left a ring around the continent. He's fat.
Boxing with Billy C.
Broadcasting in all corners of the globe, on the web and radio.
He would scoff at a stretch of that man, I would think.
You're listening to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. From upstate New York and the good old US of A.
Boxing is here to stay because we are here to stay.
The best 2 hours of boxing talk on the airwaves.
As Billy C. sits here in the multi-million-dollar Talkin' Boxing Studios, sipping a fine wine before you're even out of bed, you should be thinking, damn, I wish I had a mustache like his. It's the Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. show. He's Billy C., and you're not. Sucks to be you.
The one, the only Don King.
Makes me feel good, Billy, to have you, the #1 show in the country, talking boxing with Billy. So I invite each and every American that's listening to this great show to tune in. Because we want you to be there with Billy and me.
Say Jimmy's coming down across the alleyway, up on the boulevard like it's a gun on parade. Lights on the silhouette, he's just a buttonette, coming at you on the count of one.
And we're back. You are listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C. Radio Show. You're watching us on the Fight Now channel. Glad you could join us. Don't forget about the Fight Now channel. Call your local television provider right now and tell them that you want that channel. Tell them you gots to have it, like Arum would say. I gots to have that channel, Fight Now. And check out their website because every night's Fight Night on Fight Now, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, www.fightnow.com. Feeling a lot better, man. Feeling a lot better. I had a vicious week. And then this week was progressively getting better. Still not 100% from the French flu, whatever the hell I got. But feeling a lot better. And I'm really looking forward to the Billy C. Boxing Hall of Fame. Hope you guys stop by. Hope you stop by. Make the trip. We got some special entry fees at the door. So you'll be happy. You know, I'm sure you'll get there and you won't be able to enjoy the whole event. But stop by tomorrow, anytime. Especially after 3:30, that's when the deals kick in. Anyway, let's go over some fights. I got 6 fights we're picking. I actually picked 7, but the Selkirk, Iden, and Yo-Yo Dan fight. Yo-Yo Dan. That's next week, so I messed up on that. So the first fight I'm going to pick is a female fight. I got this. This has specifically been requested by David Allen. He is just a huge female boxing fan. And he said to me, you know, why don't you put more female fights on your challenge? And you know what? I agree with David Allen, and I added this one. It's Ada Velez against Melinda Cooper, and it's actually a great matchup. Thanks, David Allen, for steering me in this direction. You the man. Ada Velez, she's the IBF World Super Bantamweight champ. She's got a record of 19 wins, 6 coming by knockout, 3 losses, never been stopped, and she has 3 draws. She's 5'3". She's got a 62-inch reach, 164 rounds of professional with a 24% knockout ratio. She started her career in 1999. That's right, 1999. But here's the thing. She's 41 years old. Now, you know, not that matters. You know, I'm still older than her by 9 years. But you know, I look at her record and I see Jerry Stitz's in 2007. She lost to her. Now, no disrespect to Stitz's. She's not actually a world beater. She did draw recently in 2010, which was a very busy year for her by today's standards. Anyway, 3 fights in a year. She fought Kalisha West, who's currently a world champion. She got a majority draw against her, and she also fought Stacey Reel, who was 9-1 at the time, and won an 8-round decision against her. In her last fight, she fought March of this year against Melinda Cooper, who she'll be fighting again Sunday. Well, Melinda Cooper was undefeated going into that fight, and Velez lost. Velez won the IBF's Super Bantamweight title, and it was via a split decision victory in this one. So it was a very close fight. Now Velez steps in and gives the rematch to Melinda Cooper. Melinda Cooper is a former world title challenger, and it was the time she challenged for the IBF Female Super Bantamweight title. She also had won a title, a secondary title, WIBA international belt back in 2005. But as far as world, you know, she was undefeated going into the Velez fight in March of this past year. She's 21 wins, 11 come by knockout. Only that one loss, which was a split decision loss. She's only 26 years old. She's around the same height as Velez. She's 5'2.5", and she's got 84 rounds as a pro. You know, when I look at Melinda Cooper's record, I see a fighter that has not really fought tough opposition. She's fought several fighters more than once. None of them really stick out at me. The best fighter she's ever fought was the fighter she lost to in Velez. But I'm picking Melinda Cooper in this fight, and the reason why is because I'm picking Melinda Cooper not because she's fought tougher opposition, because she certainly hasn't. Velez has clearly fought the tougher opposition. Not that she happens to have only a couple of less fights than Velez, even though she's younger. Not the fact for anything other than she's younger. That is the fact. That is the fact. I'm picking Melinda Cooper. I think that her punch output, because the first fight was close, I think she learned enough from that fight. I'm looking for Melinda Cooper to beat Velez and get the title, and maybe set up a third fight between the two. Oh, heavens to Murgatroyd. But anyway, I'm picking Melinda Cooper in that one. The next fight I'm taking is the heavyweight for the World Heavyweight title. Well, if you recognize the WBF as a World Heavyweight sanctioning body, then this is for the World Heavyweight title. Francis Botha against Michael Grant. Francis Botha is a former world title challenger. He has held the WBF World Heavyweight title before, but I don't really regard that as a top sanctioning body personally. He's got 48 wins, 29 coming by knockout. He's got 5 losses, stopped all 5 times. He also has 3 draws. He's 6'2". He's got a 74-inch reach, 321 rounds as a professional with a 51% knockout ratio. Marty talked about his last fight, which took place in June of this year, when he knocked out Flo Simba. Flo Simba was only 10-0. Flo Simba never had an amateur career, and Flo Simba never fought outside of South Africa. I think Flo Simba was overrated. I think that Francis Botha beat him from his experience. When you look at the fight before that, he fought Evander Holyfield. And it's not like he fought Evander Holyfield when Evander Holyfield was only 40. He fought Evander Holyfield when Evander Holyfield was 48 years old. He fought him in April of 2010, and he got knocked out by him. Prior to that, an 8-1 Pedro Carrion took Botha to the distance, and it was a majority draw, which means Carrion probably won the fight. He struggled with Tino Hoffman. Clifford Antine he struggled with back in 2002. Anytime he stepped up his level of opposition, he lost. Now he steps in with a fighter that I could say almost identical things with Michael Grant. The difference with Michael Grant is that he's a lot bigger. He's going to have, on paper, a 5-inch reach advantage. By the way, Francis Botha is 43 years old. He seems older than that because he's been around forever. Michael Grant is 39 years old. He's 6'7". He's got an 86-inch reach, almost a 10-inch, an 8-inch exactly reach advantage for Michael Grant. Almost 100 rounds less. He's got 260 rounds as a pro with a 69% knockout ratio. 47 wins, 35 come by knockout. He also was a world title challenger. He's got 4 losses, stopped 3 times. His last fight, he destroyed Ty Fields in 3 rounds. His fight prior to that against Tomas Adamek, just like Marty said, he had his moments. I actually thought Michael Grant did pretty good in that fight. Tomas Adamek was a talented fighter, was much smaller. I give Grant credit for being competitive in that fight. He too, just like Botha, you look at his record, and he's fought no one. Every time he's stepped up to fight someone good, he's been beaten. And not only has he been beaten, he's been blown away. Some names that he did beat Ray Anis, who was a pretty decent fighter in the late 90s. He also beat Al Ice Cole. He beat David Izon, who was a pretty good fighter. But we're talking late 90s is when these fights took place. Obed Sullivan was a top-ranked fighter. Beat all these guys, Lou Savarese, Andrew Golota. But that was, 12 years ago. In recent times, he's fought really no one of note. He did fight Dominic Gwynn in 2003 and got knocked out. He got knocked out by Lewis and Jamal McCline back-to-back. And then, like I said, in 2011, this year, he did fight Ty Fields. And in 2011, Francis Botha fought Flo Simba. What does that mean? Well, you know what? I think Michael Grant is going to box this guy. I think that a win over Francis Botha is not going to be valuable for the WBF World Heavyweight title, but it will set up probably a fight for Michael Grant to make a decent payday. I think more is on the line for Grant than Botha. I think Michael Grant is a more marketable guy. I think he gets the edge, even though it's in the hometown of Botha. I'm picking Michael Grant in this. I know a lot of people are going the other way, but I'm picking Michael Grant in an upset. The next fight that I'm picking, Enzio Macronelli against Gregory Morosi. I'm picking this fight for one reason only. It's a novelty. This is like a circus act. Enzio Macronelli has been destroyed when he's lost in his last several fights, going back, all the way to David Hay. When he fought David Hay in 2008, he was knocked out savagely in 2 rounds. The bottom line is this. That should have been the end of his career, but he came back. Now, when he fought Ola Afolobi, that's when people started realizing that Enzio Macronelli was done. He came back again later that year and got in the ring with who I think is one of the killers in the cruiserweight division in Denis Ledebev, and was stopped in 3 rounds. He came back again, like Freddy Krueger, and fought a couple of tomato cans. Let's be real. He fought a couple of tomato cans, knocking them all out in the first round, back to back to back. December of 2009, and 2 fights a month apart in 2010 resulted in first-round knockouts for him, which got him back in the mix. And fast forwarded to September in 2010, he stepped in the ring to fight for the European Cruiserweight title against Alexander Frankel, and was knocked out in 7 rounds. This guy has taken over a year off, and now he's campaigning as a light heavyweight. One thing I find pretty funny about this fight and about Enzio Macronelli is if you punch him up on BoxRec right now, it's already listed as a light heavyweight. This guy hasn't fought in the light heavyweight division. I think he started his career in the light heavyweight division, but he has never fought in the last 10 years, hasn't fought in the light heavyweight division, yet they still have him listed already as a light heavyweight. I found that pretty funny. He's a former world cruiserweight champion, undisputed cruiserweight champion, is the way a lot of people recognize him. He had 32 wins, 25 come by knockout. He has 32 wins, 25 come by knockout. 5 losses, all by stoppage. 6'4", 74-inch reach, 135 rounds as a professional, with a 68% KO ratio. Now, he steps in with an unknown Hungarian fighter, Gregory Marosi. I know nothing about this guy except he's 34 years old. He's always been a light heavyweight. He's undefeated at 12-0 with 8 knockouts. He's 5'11" and a half, and he's only got 35 rounds as a professional. When you look at this guy's record, even fighting in Hungary for his whole career, he's fought nobody. He fought one guy, Arnold Toros, who was 14-1. Stopped him back in this year. He's been very busy. Fought 6 times already this year. That guy was a talented fighter by record only. No one else really sticks out. Okay, he did fight a 6-1 fighter, but several 0-something fighters, like 0-7, 0-36. Some other fighters like 2-66, 19-40. This guy is an opponent that was built up. I know that Marty is picking Marosi because Macronelli is shot, and I do admit that Macronelli is shot, but I'm taking Enzio Macronelli in this one. I think he's going to outbox Marosi, and he'll get himself another shot. You watch. Enzio Macronelli in this one. The next fight I'm picking, Joan Guzman against Florencio Castellano. Florencio Castellano is a former Colombian junior welterweight champion. He's got a record of 17 wins, 13 come by knockout, and he's got 4 losses, only stopped once, and that was against Lucas Mathesy in November of 2009. Aside from him, he's fought some guys that we've heard of, but no world beaters. I mean, Franklin Arroyo and Lucas Martin Mathesy really are the only 2, maybe Manuel Perez I've heard of too, but those are the only 2 guys that of any note. Now, he steps in with Joan Guzman. Now, Joan Guzman's no spring chicken, 35 years old, junior welterweight now. He's a former world super bantamweight, super featherweight, and lightweight world champion. He is still undefeated, believe it or not. 30 wins, no losses, and he's got a draw and 1 no contest. He's got 17 wins coming by knockout. He's 5'7", 67-inch reach, 198 rounds as a professional with a 53% knockout ratio. In his last fight, it was a no contest after 2 rounds against Jason Davis. He did beat Ali Fanica for the vacant IBF lightweight title, but he was overweight, remember? So he did not get that title. He had also fought a time before that, and the fight between Fanica ended in a draw. Humberto Soto, Antonio Davis, all wins over these guys. Was a very promising fighter. Weight issues has kind of brought this guy down. He's now fighting at junior welterweight. We'll see what happens in this particular fight. Who am I picking? I'm picking Joan Guzman, of course. Florenzio Castellano is the hired opponent, and Joan Guzman will win this fight. I'm picking him. The next fight may very well be the toughest fight of the weekend. Antonio Petulia, he's a former world title challenger. He's taking on Cosmo Rivera, who also is a former world title challenger. Antonio Petulia, 41 years old, New Mexican fighter, 70-inch reach, 5'7", 271 rounds as a professional with a 79% knockout ratio. He's got a record of 52 wins, 46 coming by knockout. He does have 5 losses, only stopped twice. He's got a draw on his record as well, and that came in his last fight against the same guy he's fighting this time. He's got some impressive wins against decent guys. He has fought for the world title a couple of times and came up short. Edwin Valero knocked him out in 2 rounds. Ed Paradis beat him for a Latino belt in December of last year by a split decision. Earlier in his career, he's got some decent wins against good fighters. But he aged. He stayed busy. He fought 3 times in 2010, twice already this year. The one time against Rivera. And then he had a Javier Hernandez fight. Was a warm-up, get back in the ring fight. He was 6-12 and won. Hernandez was when Petulia stopped him. Many people believe, and we do know for a fact, that the winner of this fight will get some type of title shot. And I think that that's what's driving both these guys. One more decent payday. Petulia is a tough guy. He's known as a knockout puncher. I mean, just look at his ratio, almost 80% knockout ratio of the 271 rounds he's fought in. 46 of his 52 wins came by knockout. Now, he steps in with a guy that has some size advantage over him at 5'10" in Cosmo Rivera. He's got a 70-inch reach, 390 rounds as a pro, with way less knockout percentage at 47%. Like I mentioned, he too is a former world title challenger. He's got 33 wins under his belt, 24 come by knockout, 14 losses, only stopped twice. He's got 3 draws on his resume. This was a guy that, like Petulia, when he stepped up for his world title shots, he came up short. He lost via a knockout to Zab Judah. He lost via a knockout to Zab Judah, and who's the other one? Alfredo Angulo. He got knocked out. He did fight Raul Pinzon, and he fought Andre Berto. He went the distance with Andre Berto. It's a fight that I was ringside for up in Saratoga Springs, New York. He also fought Felix Flores. I mean, this guy's fought a lot of good guys. The knock on him was that he took some time off. He only fought twice in 2007. His last fight in 2007 was July, the end of July, as a matter of fact, July 30th. He didn't fight again until his fight with Petulia. But like Marty said, maybe he needed some time to heal. Maybe he needed some mental, I need to get back into it type of a thing. He's a better boxer than Petulia. Petulia's got more power than him. I think this is a tough fight. I wouldn't be surprised if it ends in a draw again, but I'm leaning towards Cosme Rivera in this one. I think I picked him in the last one as well. I think it's going to be a close fight, but this time Rivera is going to come out on top. I'm picking Cosmo Rivera over Antonio Petulia in what very well may be the most competitive fight of the weekend. Finally, the last fight I'm going to pick is the most popular fight of the weekend. It's going to be on HBO. We will be showing this during the Billy C. Boxing Hall of Fame induction weekend. So if you were using that as an excuse that you weren't going to come because you wanted to catch that fight, well, guess what? You're not going to miss it. We're going to have it on the screens along with some other stuff that's going on. But it's going to be on HBO tomorrow night. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. is currently the WBC World Middleweight Champion. He's undefeated with 43 wins, no losses, 30 come by knockout. And he does have that one draw. Remember, he had that draw against Carlos Molina back in 2005. He's only 25 years old. He's 6'12", 73-inch reach, 206 rounds as a pro with a 67% knockout ratio. This is a guy that has literally grown up before our eyes as a professional fighter. He's also one of the guys that I can't stand when it comes to, and not personally, I don't mean I can't stand him. I don't have anything against him, but I can't stand these kinds of fighters, which we've had in the last 10 years, where they somehow get maneuvered and get a world title belt, and then they start to get better and better. So they actually have a world title belt, and they're not even a proven commodity yet. Andre Berto was one, Saul Alvarez could very well be called one. And Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. is certainly one too. However, in his last fight, he did look good, and I got to be honest with you, I became a fan of Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. in his fight against Sebastian Zabic. The body work he displayed in that fight and refusing to give up on the body attack and then ultimately winning. It was a majority decision, but a win's a win's a win. I thought it was cool. I respect fighters that go to the body. So many of them do not anymore. His fight against Billy Lyle was a 10-round decision. Billy Lyle, as you know, finally picked up a world title. He's the IBF champ right now. Excuse me. In his fights against John Duddy and Jason LaHollier, these were two opponents. Jason's fight didn't last long. He was stopped in one round. But two opponents that come right at you. And, that's what Peter Manfredo is going to do. Peter Manfredo is going to come right at him. Peter Manfredo, although he has the boxing ability, I don't think that he's going to, try and outbox Julio Cesar Chavez. I think when after the first couple of shots get landed on Peter Manfredo, he's going to resort to what he knows, and that's get into a brawl. Peter Manfredo, he too is a former world champion. He was the IBO middleweight world titleist, and for some reason I think, I don't know if he's put that belt on the line. I don't recall him losing it since he won it against Angel Hernandez back in May of 2010. He's fought twice since, but as far as I know, I don't think he's lost that belt. I think he very well may still be the IBO's middleweight champ. I am not sure, to tell you the truth. He's 30 years old. Believe it or not, 5 years older only than Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Peter Manfredo Jr. seems like he's been around forever. 37 wins, 20 by knockout, 6 losses, only stopped 2 times. He's 5'10". He's got 247 rounds as a pro with a 47% knockout ratio. He got a world title shot against Joe Calzaghe in the super middleweight division. I personally thought that he was fighting out of his weight class as a super middleweight. I think that his natural weight is middleweight, and last time I saw him, excuse me, he was looking real good. He's got some wins over decent fighters, and he's got some losses over decent fighters. Scotty Pemberton was a good win. Joe Spina was a good win. Joe Calzaghe, I think Joe Calzaghe is one of the most overrated fighters the sport has ever seen. But I will say this: Joe Calzaghe would have beat Peter Manfredo if the fight would have went the distance. It was stopped after 3 rounds, and to this day, I feel that fight was stopped a little soon, too soon. Manfredo did not seem that hurt in that fight, and it was around the time everybody was questioning the power of Calzaghe and that he's a pitter-pat guy, and I just think they stopped that fight too soon. But nonetheless, he was stopped by Seiko Bika. He did have a good performance against Vladimir Schmichet and Ronald Weaver, but Schmichet was a decent fighter. Ronald Weaver is basically a journeyman fighter. Matt Vanda, which was a similar opponent to both these guys, he did well against. He fought the tough John Barrio in November of last year, and this year he did fight once in January against Daniel Edward. Took place in Florida. I believe it was on ESPN. He won a 10-round decision there. After all of that, who do I think is going to win? Well, as much as I like to go with my guys all the time, and Peter Manfredo Jr. is definitely one of my guys, I got to go with Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. on this one. Like Marty, I think the body attack is going to wear down Peter Manfredo Jr. His father is a great trainer. He's in his corner. He's going to try to make adjustments. But Peter Manfredo Jr. is going to resort back to what he does, and that's brawl, and that's exactly what Julio Cesar Chavez wants him to do. I anticipate Chavez to be hydrated and weighing, at least 15 pounds more than what he's going to weigh at the weigh-in tonight. We just hope that he makes the weigh-in. So that's my pick. I'm picking Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. In no particular order. Johan Guzman over Florenzio Castellano. I'm picking Cosme Varira against Antonio Petulia. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. against Peter Manfredo. Enzo Macronelli over Gregory Morosi. Michael Grant over Francis Baltha. And Melinda Cooper over Ada Velez. Those are my picks. Good luck to everybody in the Billy C Challenge, except David Allen and Dave Murphy. We want them to crash and burn, but only kidding. No, I'm not. I want them to lose, but it's in good fun. Just like they always like my pet name that David Allen calls me is an idiot. So, we take that. It's fun. And speaking of fun, one last time, I'm going to give you the opportunity to come to the Billy C. Boxing Hall of Fame induction weekend. At this point in time, you missed the full access to the whole event, which starts tonight. So unless you've had your reservation made and your hotel booked and all that stuff, you're going to miss out on that. But fear not, you can come in tomorrow for the full day's festivities, or at least a half day, beginning at 3 p.m. The doors will open. We do have a discounted price for the half day. You will get one meal included with that, and most of the presentations, we got some great ones coming. I think you're going to have a great time. Ernie Shavers will be there, great guy to hang around with. Marlon Starling, John Iceman Scully, who incidentally will have a film crew following him around. We also have the post inductees, Sam Langford, the great granddaughter of Sam Langford, Carol Doyle, will be there with another generation, a new generation, Sam Langford, the namesake, her grandson. So. I guess the great-great-grandson of Sam Langford. Joe Gans's relatives are going to be there, and Darian Gans, so I'm looking forward to that. We also have Tom Molino is the guy I'm writing a book on, and my editor, our very own Alex Papali, will be accepting the award for him. Sugar Ray Robinson, our own Dax Khan, will be accepting the award for him. And Rocky Marciano, we're almost we're trying to get Rocky Marciano Jr. Was going to come, and he's having some health issues. The brother Peter Marciano, we're trying to get him to come, so that's not dead yet, and we're still working feverishly to get them. We also have some authors that are going to be showing up. We've got some great presentations. We want you there. Be there. You can drop me an email, or better yet, I'll give you the address right now to punch in as GPS. Will get you to the venue. It's 1498 State Route 9, Fort Edward, New York, 12828. That is what you need to punch in MapQuest or your GPS. We want you to show up there one more time, 1498 State Route 9. That's in Fort Edward, New York, 12828. The venue will be on your right. Show up anytime around 3. Have a great time, man. We look to see you there. Everybody's going to get something. We're also going to give prizes away for the person that travels the furthest, the person who travels the least, all day long. We're going to probably do trivia questions, all that happy stuff. It's going to be a great time. Make sure you're there.
Wake up. It's time for It's too early for a trivia question.
Here we go. We got this trivia question, and I'm loving all the answers, but none of them are right. Maybe that's why I'm loving them. But prior to 1925, this guy was a world champion. So what former world champion was recruited not once but twice from the audience to substitute for a boxer who was not able to appear? Now, I keep saying this over and 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 over. The bottom line is this guy was literally sitting in the stands. I've gotten all these answers, a week before the fight, a day before the fight, the day of the fight. Yes, there's been many, many last-minute subs, but what makes this particular fighter unique is that he was sitting in the stands. He bought a ticket to the event and was hanging out, and they noticed him in the stands, and they needed a fill-in, and they needed a last minute, and they went and tapped him on the shoulder and asked him, not once, but twice this happened. Who is he? He was a world champion before 1925. What former world champion was recruited not once but twice from the audience to substitute for a boxer who was not able to continue? If you know this answer, email me, billy@talkinboxing.com. That's TALKINBOXING.com. And let me tell you, we're giving bonus prizes away, especially if you're on the Fight Now network. So if you watch us through Fight Now, make sure you tell us. Good luck to everybody. Get this one right. What prior to 1925 world heavyweight champion was recruited not once but twice from the audience to substitute a fighter who was not able to continue?
This day in boxing history.
And finally, on this day, November 18th, in 1994, Roy Jones Jr. wins a 12-round decision over James Toney to win the IBF World Super Middleweight title, and that took place on this day, November 18th, in 1994, in Las Vegas. That concludes our show for today. Make sure you show up for the Billy C. Boxing Hall of Fame induction weekend. We're going to have a great time. We want you to be part of it. and we plan on building this thing up bigger and better every year. Next year's already going to be 5 times bigger, and it looks like it's going to be held in Albuquerque, New Mexico. But the most important thing to remember, make sure you tune in Monday morning, same bat time, same bat channel. The Fight Now channel, of course. Call your local television provider right now and tell them that you want the Fight Now channel added to your lineup. Check out the website that gives you all the information about the channel, www.fightnow.com. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll talk to you Monday. Ciao, baby.